Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My Amethyst Moonflower, and today I felt like would be a good day to do a little tour of my travel altar or travel witch kit, I like to call it. As you see here, it is not a very small travel altar. Normally you would see travel altars that are small, like this deck here, like in a little Altoid tin, or maybe like a really small box. I do have a bigger box that I like to use sometimes as a travel altar that I might show you in another video, but this is like my newest evolution, I should say, of my travel altar, and it's a little bit bigger, but it's still pretty compact. I really like it because of the size, the material that's made out of. It fits really nicely in my camping backpack that I like to take with me when I go into the woods, go for a hike, go camping and stuff like that. So it's really able to fit in my backpack with a few other things. There's a lot of different reasons why a witch might choose to have a travel altar or a travel bag like I do. It's because sometimes you just might not have space in your home for a permanent altar, and so having to be able to put it away nicely and take everything out as you need it, as you want to use it. Or maybe you're more like me, where you just really like to go travel, you like to go out and about into the woods and stuff, and you want to be able to take things with you when you go to these places. Whatever your reason might be why you want a travel altar, I just like to think about what kind of practice do you do, what kind of stuff do you like to take with you when you go, and how small of an item are you able to find or create and shrink down and consolidate. Because when I open up my bag, you might go, wow, that's a lot of stuff, and to some people, yeah, that might be a lot of stuff, but because of the way that I was able to pack it and the size of the items, I was able to really maximize the space, as you'll be able to see. But before I really get into the bag here, I sort of wanted to make a few honorable mentions real quick. So putting this to the side here, I wanted to mention my athame. My athame is not in the bag because it doesn't fit. Obviously, it's a little bit too big for the bag, but it came with this nice sheath that has a clip on it, so I'm able to attach it to my belt or my pocket if I want, or I could even just put it in the bag beside it if I decide to take it. Sometimes I don't take it with me just because I want to travel light, and then there are times when I do decide to take it with me. So noting that this athame specifically is not in the bag, but I may or may not decide to take it with me when I go. Another thing that's not in the bag is my small travel size tarot deck here. I have a few other tarot decks that sometimes I take with me when I go places, but this is the one that I keep in my purse and take with me pretty much everywhere that I go. I just like that it's small and it's easy to use. So that's not in the bag also, but it's usually around when I go places. And another thing here that I wanted to just sort of show you real quick. This is another travel altar. It's a small little table with 4 little feet, and I found this at the dollar store a couple years back, and I like it because it's really small. It's only I don't know, about 8 or 9 inches square. So it's not very big, and it too can also fit in my backpack with my travel bag and a few other things if I decide to take it with me when I go places. It's just one of those things that may or may not go. But I like it because it does give me a nice solid surface, and I think that the paint job that I did on it is really pretty. I used this purple gold color shift paint, and then I used silver paint to put the design on here, and I have a little symbol in each of the 4 corners for each of the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Then I did a ring of the 4 zodiac signs, and then a ring of the moon phases or the solar phases, and then the moon or sun, however I decide to look at it, is sort of placed like a solar wheel, so that the new moon is at Capricorn for the winter solstice, full moon is at Cancer for the summer solstice, and then the equal half in light and dark are at Aries and Libra for the spring and autumn equinoxes, and then the 4 cross quarter points as well. And then the center is just this little 3 swirly triqueta symbol for spirit. And I wanted to mention it because, like I said, it may not always go with me, but sometimes it does. It just sort of depends on what I'm feeling like taking and where I'm going. Because sometimes going into the woods, I'll take a little less with me, but if I'm like going to a place, I might take more. It just depends on what I need and where I'm going. And so that's something to maybe also keep in mind when thinking about your travel altar, is that not everything has to necessarily fit in the box or bag or whatever it is that you decide to use. You can sort of have some little like carry-ons. But the bag itself here, as you can see, it has this really pretty celestial design on it, and it's made out of this really nice durable cotton canvas material that I originally bought the material to like reupholster some chairs that I did, and I had a bunch of fabric left over. I got it from Joann's, R.I.P. Joann's, before they closed. But yeah, I like the size of it, and the handle here kind of was a little bit of an afterthought. I wasn't originally planning on adding a handle, but it kind of does help with like moving it around, which is nice. But because it was an afterthought, it's a little off center, and I would have liked to put it more in the center, but the material was so thick that putting it on that seam would have probably like broke my needle, so I had to sort of move it to the side a little bit. And the clasp here is just 2 buttons with string wrapped around it. I decided to do a string clasp because I originally did a snap where it would like snap closed, but it wasn't really working the way that I wanted it to. It wasn't good as I thought it was going to be. So doing the string helps with adjustability as well, because sometimes, you know, I might put more, I might put less, and so being able to adjust where it closes at is really nice. And because the material is machine washable, and I could throw it into the machine to wash it, but because of the string, I wouldn't probably do that. I'll probably just like hand wash it, spot clean it if I need to. But yeah, so this is what the outside of my bag is, and like I was saying, it might be a little bit bigger than what some people would consider for their travel bag, but for me it works because I do like to bring a few different things with me, just because that's what works for me and my practice and what I like to use. So let's go ahead and open it up here so you can see what's inside. So the first thing you'll see when I open up the bag here, I'll just go ahead and move it over here just to sort of open up some space. The first thing on top is my little small altar cloth. It's like handkerchief size, and I'm not really sure where I got it from, but I've had it for a really long time and I really like it because it's this nice, just tabletop size, and of course purple's my favorite color, so I'll just spread that out here so I can lay things on top and try and keep everything in frame so that you can see. So then I have a small pack of incense sticks. I just trimmed the incense down to the size that I wanted them to, because you know a lot of times incense are too long, so I just trimmed them down to fit. And then I made this small little sheath for them out of cardstock paper, and it's sandalwood, so it smells really pretty. Sandalwood's one of my favorite. And then the next thing is this little envelope here with this pretty little fairy sticker on it. I keep seeds inside, or wildflower seeds or bird seed or whatever, and I use these for offerings when I like go out into the woods, and I might pick a little bit of an herb or a flower if I find it, or just to give an offering to the nature spirits or tree spirits or deity, or however I feel like using it. But yeah, they're just for offering. I like them because they don't harm the earth, and in fact they kind of help the earth a little bit, because either the critters can eat them or the flowers might sprout. However, I also have a small little pack of Palo Santo and cone incense in here, and then I also have a small pack of charcoal discs, which I use for like powdered incense, because the cones and the stick incense are more for like quick burns or quick spells, meditation, something like that, where whereas like the charcoal burning powdered incense is something that I like to do for more like longer, more fuller rituals. Another thing I keep in my bag is just a pair of tweezers, mainly for the charcoal, so that when I'm like starting the charcoal, I can hold the charcoal with the tweezers so I don't burn my fingers. But it's also good to have a pair of tweezers on you, especially if you're going out into the woods or wherever, in case you get like a splinter or something. Those are always handy to have. I also have in my bag, if it'll focus, a small little pair of sewing scissors here that look like a hummingbird, and they have a nice little color shift flash on them, and I love these scissors. But having a pair of scissors is also one of those things that's really handy just to have on hand in case you need them, because you never know when you need a pair of scissors, right? Especially because here I have a chopstick that I trimmed down, and I just sort of wrap thread around it in all the different colors of the rainbow, so white, pink, purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, red, black. And I also have a needle. This is something that I've been liking to carry in my bag because I've been getting into doing more like thread magic, string magic, for like doing knots or embroidery and stuff like that. There's a lot of different ways you can use thread in magic, but it also allows me to use color magic more easily, and you never really know when you need thread around, just like with the scissors, you know, and the tweezers and stuff. These are just sort of, they're a part of my magical practice, but they're also utilitarian uses as well. And that's something that I like to just like have on me because I can just use it however I need to. Another thing that I have in my travel bag here is a small spray bottle of some sage spray, just some sage essential oil with some blessed moon water, and it's got a few stones at the bottom to just sort of like help shake it all up. I think it's a black tourmaline and then like another green stone, not really sure what kind. But yeah, this is always good to have on me just in case like I just need to clear my energy really quickly and really easily and not have to like burn incense in order to do it. And then another thing that I like to have in my bag is my wand, of course, which I had just recently made this wand not that long ago. I had originally made a wand the more traditional way from fingertip to elbow, but I felt like it was too long, and then I ended up making a wand out of like a pin with a crystal on the end of it, which I really liked, but over time, you know, the pin dried up and it no longer worked like a pin anymore, and I felt like I wanted a real wand, and so I found this really nice wooden walnut chopstick and trimmed it down and then used Sculpey to attach this small little blue glass marble on one end and then this nice amethyst point on this end, and then just painted the Sculpey to match the wood, and I love it. It's so nice. It fits in my hand perfectly, like just how I like it, and it sort of feels like a pencil because I'm a writer and I love how it just feels like it could be a pencil, but it's not a pencil, it's a wand. And walnut has some really nice properties. It associated with the brain because of the shape of the nut. The walnut looks like a brain, so it's good for like intellect, insight, psychic ability, wisdom, but it also brings in like protection energy, and it's also really good formative of the will, like commanding of the will. It's just a really strong hardwood, and I love it because it's nice and dark and uniform and straight and durable. So I could go on and on about why I love this wand so much. Keep it in my bag. I like that it's the perfect size to fit, and I might even carve some runes on here as well, or maybe wrap some copper around it. I haven't quite decided yet. Another thing that I like to keep in my bag is this small little bottle of blessed moon water or holy water. The bottle was from it was a little liquor bottle, a little shooter bottle, but after it was empty, I just cleaned it really well so it didn't have the alcohol smell in it anymore, and then I cleansed and blessed it, and then now I keep my holy water in it, and I put a little moon sticker on there so that I know that it's moon water. Another thing I like to keep in my bag is my little silver bell. I've had this since like the beginning of my practice, but I like that it's really small so it's easy to carry. Another thing that I have in my bag is a small little crystal ball with a stand, because you never know when you need a crystal ball. And then I also have this little bag here, and it actually has a lot of stuff in here, so I'm going to have to open it up to show you. I have a teeny tiny little broom, Besom. I love it. It's so small and cute. And then I have this really tiny incense stick holder that I made out of some Sculpey, and it has the 4 directions on it, so north, east, south, and west, and then painted it up, so that's handy. I also made these 2 little bowls, one for salt, one for water, and then I also made these 3, they're tarot card stands. They're just little bars that I painted gold, and then I pressed amethyst stone into them. And I'll kind of give you a quick little sample here. Just like that. That way when I go places with my tiny tarot, I can just stand up my cards like that, and they're so sweet and simple and super cute. Another thing that I have in my bag is this black slate triangle stone. I actually found it in nature already in the shape of a triangle, and I thought that was kind of neat. And then I just went outside and just like sharpened the edges on the concrete so it's more like an arrowhead. But I use this as a symbolic representation of the black handled athame, because it's a black stone and it has the double-edged blade. So when I don't take my regular athame with me, this one worked really well as a symbolic representation of the athame. I also have in here a little shell that I painted gold on one side. This I like to use for like as an offering dish. I can also put water in that as well. I also have this little spell candle holder that I made out of Sculpey, and then I just pressed amethyst or quartz into it to make it look pretty. And then the last thing I have in this bag is this thing, which you're probably like, what is that? Actually, it's for my cauldron lid, because I really wanted to be able to take my cauldron with me when I go places so that I can burn my powdered incense, but it was too big for the bag. And so I got creative and decided I was going to just take the lid because it's smaller and more compact and less heavy. But because it has this squeezy handle, it doesn't lay flat. So I made this thing out of Sculpey so that it covers the lid, and now it stands flat, and I can just put my disc on there and burn my powdered incense, and it functions as my teeny tiny travel cauldron, which is really cool. I love that. I have here clear quartz tower with black tourmaline rods going through it, and I really love this quartz tower because it balances the energies really nicely between the light and the dark. And I also have my clear quartz wand, which I like to use for healing, and I also have this little tiny spoon, has a little crystal on the end of it and this really nice detail, and you never know when you need a spoon, right? And also I feel like it's something that the fairies would probably really like as well. Another thing that I have in my bag here is my little wooden pentacle that I made. I just happened to buy like a pack of 4 little wooden craft discs, and I painted one of them so that it's like purple blue color shift with the silver star on one side, and then like a green gold color shift with a gold star on this side. That way, like when I go to do spells or rituals, I can just sort of like decide what kind of energies that I want to work with. Do I want to work with more earth energies, or do I want to work with more like cosmic energies? My little divination box here, or other tiny's box that I painted up, and inside the box here I have this belly dancer bracelet with all these little coins on it, and I like having this because it works sort of like a rattle, so I could raise energy, make a lot of noise, keep a rhythm, which is a good alternative to a drum, considering that, you know, I do have a drum, but drum can take up a lot of space, and it's just another thing that I have to carry around. So having this on me, you know, just allows me to be able to make a rhythm and make some noise and raise energy without having this big old thing with me wherever I go. Another thing that I have in this box is my 3 astro dice here. But yeah, one is for the houses, one is for the zodiac, and the other one is for the planets, and then you just sort of like roll them, and then you can divine off of them. You can also use them like in spell work if you want to like harness a specific astrological energy. Another thing that I have in here, I have a little key. Keys are always good to have on you. Keys are a symbol for Hecate, which is my matron deity. They're also good for like locking and unlocking things. And I also have my amethyst pendulum here, which I've had since the beginning of my practice, and we're like super bonded, so I have to have that with me. I also have this little cute teeny tiny amethyst mushroom, which is adorable. A little teeny tiny black gull here. It's always good to have. I also have a small piece of dark smoky quartz, and I have this little triple moon pendulum charm. I also have a tack, which is good for carving in candles, but you also never know when you need to like poke something. And then I also have a teeny tiny little evil eye bead for protection. And then I have fairy stone or witch's stone. I found this also in nature, and I was super excited when I found it because I always wanted one, and when I finally found one I was like, yay! I got a little fairy stone. And then I also have this really cool yes and no coin that I got a long time ago off of Wish. Has some really pretty detail on it. And then the last thing in this little box is a mirror, a small round mirror. You never know when you're going to need a mirror, so I keep that in there. So that's everything that I keep in my small box. Another thing that I keep in my bag is this pack of spell candles here. This was actually a large gum container, and it holds perfectly inside of it 6 spell candles. So I just keep sort of like a small range of colors. Always good to have. I know a lot of witches will carry like birthday candles in their travel bag, which work really good as well, but I like using these. The next thing that I keep in my bag is this little box here, and inside of it I have 5 small little jars. This jar has my Brightest Blessings incense blend, my powdered one that I use for almost everything, and then I have my Brightest Blessings anointing oil, some sea salt, some black cat oil that I made on Friday the 13th, and then I also have this oil, Better Business, Prosperity, Attraction, Luck oil. I actually just combined like 4 different spell oils together to make this like one really potent oil, and I made it on a Taurus new moon. So my little jars I keep with me. Another thing that I have in my bag is this really beautiful vintage purple glass chalice that I found at a vintage store, and I freaking love this. This is one of my favorite pieces. I actually collect purple glass, but this is by far one of my favorite pieces, and I love that it's so small. It's easy to take with me, and it's pretty thick too, so it's a pretty sturdy piece. I love this. I love how small it is, and it's my favorite kind of glass, and so of course look at the detail on that. So lovely. So that's something else that I like keep in my bag. I have this set of witch runes that I made myself. I found these bunch of little black stones on the shore of Lake Michigan, and then I used a Dremel to carve all the like little different symbols into the stones. And it's not exactly like the kind of witch runes that you might find online. I kind of made my own little combination of symbols. I have like all the zodiac signs, all the planets, all the elements, as well as a bunch of other symbols and runes and stuff like that. So it's like a mixed bag, but I like having it because not only can I do a rune spread, but I can also, if I need a symbol to represent something, I can use these stones to do that. So I also have this cute little garden quartz, and garden quartz has, if you can see, a bunch of minerals inside of it, and it gives it this effect of, it has moss or some kind of nature inside of it, like a little mini terrarium, which I think is super beautiful, and it brings such gorgeous grounding earth energy, and so I have to have that in my bag as well. I also have this little Pisces statue in there. I'm a Pisces sun sign, so that was cute. I thought I'd just go ahead and throw that in there for fun. And the last thing at the bottom of my bag in this little box is my god and goddess statues that I made out of Sculpey, and I love them so much. They're super cute. Like I said, I'm not the best at Sculpey. Like, it's not something that I'm really good at, but I still enjoy doing it. It's still really fun to make things like this, and it wasn't too hard though. The antlers were a little hard. It was still a fun little craft that I was able to do, and it saves me money because usually you go online and you see the prices of statues, and even if they're small, they can still get pretty expensive. So just going out and spending $3 on a pack of Sculpey, and I'm able to make all these cute little things with it, so it's very cost effective. And really what it's costing you is time and energy and creativity. Just putting in a little bit of effort, and they do stand pretty well. I love them so much, and they were a perfect little addition to my bag. So that's everything that was in my travel altar. I hope that you enjoyed looking at everything that I have inside. And like I said, if there was something in here that you might not have thought of before, or inspired you, or surprised you in any kind of way, let me know down in the comments. And if you have done your little altar tour, or travel bag, I should say, travel altar witch kit, tag me, and I would love to go watch your video. I love supporting other witchy content creators. I love seeing what you guys come up with and what you do in your practice. And yeah, so if there's any questions that you have about anything, just pop them down below. I'll be happy to answer you. And here in a moment, I'll set everything up so that you can get a little montage of what it looks like when it's set up. And besides that, I will be seeing you again next time, and I hope you all have a wonderful, magical, witchy day. Blessed be. So I found a place to finally sit down and take a rest for a minute. This is kind of like my little spot that I've been coming to in the woods for a couple of years now, kind of like a campsite, but it's not really a campsite. Now that we finally made it back here and we found a nice little spot, I thought I would go ahead and do my backpack travel altar tour walkthrough. I'll go ahead and show you what we got going on here. And I love that little hole, that little spot in the tree. That's where we're going to be setting up the altar. So this is my backpack that I take with me when I go into the woods, and I have a little med kit in the front or side pocket here, and I got my keys and my important stuff in the front pocket, and then on the inside I have, on top here is my Book of Shadows, which I will be doing a flip through of this here in the next couple of days, but this is sort of a preview of what it looks like. And then on the inside of my bag, I carry the basic essentials. I got my athame in here, and I got some binoculars and some bug spray. I got my tarot and my athame here, and I got my traveling witch altar / witch kit, and I'll be showing you that as well. And I also have in here my wooden travel altar plate, and I also have my journal for like when I want to write stuff down while I'm out. When I come out into the woods to set up my travel altar, this is sort of kind of what I got going on here. So I'm going to go ahead now and set everything up and get a little like montage so you can see what it looks like when everything is all done.